Hey guys, what's up? Nikko here, and in this 3D Printed Profits episode, I'm the one who's going to be interviewed. And the interview you guys are going to see right now is between me and Chris West. He's actually episode 37 of the podcast, and he's actually one of my mastermind group participants, one of my students in the mastermind group for the coaching program. And in this interview, kind of like a cool video that we wanted to do was just to talk about knowing your numbers, your accounting, and when to grow and how to grow your business. So he basically asks me questions and I answer, and he kind of just picks my brain on this stuff. So I hope you guys like it. It's a good change of pace for what we're actually going to be doing. Instead of me interviewing other people, I'm the one who's going to be interviewed. Chris does a good job of asking questions and carrying the conversation. And so hope you guys enjoy. All right, Chris, big guy. So, you were the one who initiated this coaching call. So, what do you got for me?
Yeah, you and I both been running our businesses for a few years. You more so than me. But a big part of running a 3D printing business is running a business and getting into the actual money of things, right? We all like 3D printing. We all want to get in and do stuff like that. But then you're like, oh, wow, what do I do after this? And we've covered a lot as far as opening a store, selling those things. But once you get into it, you're like, I got some expenses, and which software do I use? And when do I hire someone? And should I incorporate or limited LLC? Like all these questions, you're like, hold on a second. I just want to print crap. That's all I want to do. So it was like, maybe there's a lot we can talk about when it gets into this.
There is. So let's start with the very fundamentals, right?
Okay.
A business is an exchange between two people for goods and services, right? So say you have a 3D printing service and I have, a filament, right? And if we trade, we're doing business. That's all a business is. If you're not selling your goods and services for something else, then you're not really a business. All right. You can incorporate, you can start an LLC, you can build all that other shit, but you're just playing business. Unless you have a product or a service that you're selling. All right. So let's get that out of the way. A lot of people may be triggered and might not like what I just said. I said what I said. You're playing business. You can have business cards. You can have an LLC. You can have an EIN number. I don't give a shit what else you have. Unless you have something that you're creating or selling, you don't have a fucking business. Now, as far as the accounting goes, because I remember that's what you and I had talked about off camera initially. What I started first was a spreadsheet, right? Because you do have to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. Okay. So your expenses would be what you would normally spend your money on in operating costs, right? So your website, shipping costs, marketing fees, stuff like that, like getting the designs. In my case, I have a marketing team. Yes, I said team, full team. I have a design team, full team. Got to pay all those guys. I have a web developer, just one person. And I have my bookkeeper. Okay. It helps that my bookkeeper is my wife. But I got to a point where I needed to hire. Okay. So those were grown. I grew into that. That was not, I didn't jump out of the gun with all these teams that I manage and I talk to. Those kind of just happened, and I grew into my role currently in the business and in the company. All right. Now, give me another question so I have some sort of direction to go here.
Sure. So let's start with a basic question. You already talked about it. You started doing things on a spreadsheet. I remember doing the same thing, and I quickly outgrew that. So
yeah, it's fast.
When you outgrew typing in every single receipts and so forth, where did you go next? What was the next step?
QuickBooks Online, my man.
Yes, there you go.
QuickBooks Online. Look, QuickBooks Online is a savior. First of all, if you're going to do it on your own because you want to save money, you're not saving money. Because when you pull yourself out of the business to work in it, okay, to work on other aspects, you're not working on the business to grow it. So you're not going to grow.
Right.
That task can be delegated to somebody else who's better than you at doing it. Okay. So if you are working, for example, if you're working on the books of the business, right, your numbers and so on and so forth, you're not printing, you're not shipping out, you're not creating designs, you're not building the business. Okay. So as I started to grow, beforehand, I knew, all right, first of all, I don't like doing it. Second, I know people who are better at doing it than I am. So I said, all right, hey, you do this for me, please, and I'll give you money. Okay. And so that's what I did. But so when you hire a bookkeeper or an accountant or someone who's going to manage your books and your numbers, they're going to ask you to either sign up for Zoom or QuickBooks Online. Most of the time, it's going to be QuickBooks Online, and it's all automatic anyway.
Yeah, I've been using QuickBooks. I actually just do the QuickBooks Self-Employed right now, and that's worked for me. Last year, I tried switching over to a different version of QuickBooks, and it was like I lost a bunch of transactions. It was like, oh, what's happening? Tax time was not a good time to switch software. So, but
Why'd you do that?
thankfully, I had everything backed up. Was able to get it back in as self-employed. But anyway, so you're right. The software is beneficial. I can quickly get in and see what my breakdown is. If I'm making money this month, if I'm losing money this month. If I buy something, I can take my phone and snap a picture of it, and the receipt automatically gets added, or I can forward the receipt to go in there. Either way, all this stuff makes it so it just works, right? And while I don't have a bookkeeper to keep track of those things for me, the software does a lot of it for me. So it's really easy that it will automatically mark this as materials. It'll automatically mark this as tools or whatever it is. And so I don't have to do a whole lot. I get in there a couple times a month just to make sure it's working okay.
Yeah.
And I don't have any issues. It just works out well. And then mileage. If I'm driving to go to Micro Center to pick up supplies, record the mileage and I get
Yep,
the
that's written off.
So
The
it's all
depreciation on your car is written off. Your gas is written off. Your dude, everything, your insurance, it's all that is written off.
Yep, depending on how you want to look at it. So it's there's a lot. I mean, we could bring in like a tax professional. Like, what do you deduct and what do you do that?
There's
That's a whole
someone coming.
thing. Oh, are you? Good. I've got a
Already
couple of
scheduled
tax
them.
books I keep here that I read through. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I kind of like that stuff. But for most, I think 3D printer, they're not going to like this sort of thing. And so
No.
it's difficult. So I think the best thing is to get that QuickBooks, set it up, and basically let it automate itself.
You're gonna get to a point once you get really large where you have, like I said, your marketing team, your design, once you start building teams and your organization grows, you're gonna need a bookkeeper, you're gonna need an accountant, I'm getting to a point where I need a tax firm, like a full firm, and hire them and say, hey guys, take my books, the bookkeeping on it, and save me money on taxes. And basically that's what's gonna happen. And I actually might want to schedule a meeting sometime this week.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is you're at a growing point where you need to do something like that.
Mhm.
And we all reach these different points where Excel doesn't work anymore and you need software, right? Yeah, you've got to move beyond and try different things. I'm at a point where last week I stopped using my personal credit card to buy everything and got a business credit card.
Yeah.
And it was nice because my wife was like, oh, I'm going to miss all the points because we were getting all these points for buying things. But it became an accounting problem to where it was
Amex
like,
Gold, Amex Business Gold, bro.
that's what you're using?
That's what I'm using. Yes.
Okay. I've got an Amazon business account that I just signed up for. So I get 5%.
Oh, congrats, man.
That's a good one. And then I'm doing a city double cash back there. But the important thing is that no matter what it is, that credit card that you buy everything on can be tied to QuickBooks. So it automatically adds those things for you. And that was what problem for me is if I went and bought something on a different credit card, I'd have to manually go in and add that so I could distinguish personal versus business. So we all grow. We all do different things. You passed that a long time ago. You've been using business credit cards for a while, and now I just got into that. So.
Yeah, the points are amazing.
Yeah.
And my thought was, look, I'm going to spend this money anyway. I'm going to pay these guys back anyway. I might as well get the points for it.
Yeah.
And, you accumulate it over the span of 2-3 years. It's a free trip to Japan, right? It's a free, X amount of money. So And
Yeah.
it's pretty exciting. But
Well,
when you do
or
start, though, you do need some sort of accounting. You do need some
yeah.
sort of budget spreadsheet. You have to say, all right, I'm only going to spend X amount in Filament this month. I'm only going to spend X amount in designs this month. I'm only going to spend X amount, so on and so forth. Now, after you have that, right, once your numbers are clear and you see that you are in the green, you are profitable, that's where you would say, this month I made $1,000, right? It's all profit. But you got to think it's a side hustle. Okay. Then you would go to the business and evaluate it. All right. What was happening in this month that was, kind of prohibiting me from growing? Okay. Say this month I lost 5 sales because I couldn't process orders fast enough. What does that mean? Well, that means I need to buy more machines, right? So then you would go look at the business. All right. So now I need to buy more machines. So let's buy more machines, right? The next month, now you're not losing sales because of your demand, right? Okay, great. Now what do I need to do? I need to now increase demand to match capacity of what I can produce, my production capacity. Okay, so how can I do that? Well, I can post more. I can start doing YouTube videos. I can do social media. I can, invest in Facebook ads, Etsy ads, whatever. Then now you're working on the business. You're not working in it. You're looking at the business as a whole, and you're saying, what can I do, right? What strings and what levers can I pull to increase my revenue and thus increasing profit at the same time?
Yeah.
Right. And that's why, like you said, I'm glad you called this. It's super important to have a overview, right, of your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. That's
Right.
Marcus Lemonis, by the way, The Prophet. It's a great show.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at all this, when you first start, you are thrilled to get your first sale, right?
Yeah.
And then any other sale after that, I mean, you're in it a few months and you're just like, yeah, I had 5 sales last week. That's cool. But where do you actually stand on a profit and loss? And until you have it in the software that shows you that, well, great that you're getting sales because you need it. Because remember that printer that you just bought? You still
Yeah.
got to pay it off. Still got to do that. And you need the filament in order to print that stuff. So you had to go buy more filament. And you eventually find like, oh, I'm actually losing money, even though I'm making sales. So what else do I need to do? But you have to see that. You have to know what's in front of you in order to make it worth it.
Right. You got to have that cost per product, right?
Yeah.
So you got to look, say this stormtrooper, right?
Yes.
What is cost per product shipped? How much is it going to cost me to get this shipped out of my door, right? What does that include? Well, how much did you spend per box?
Yeah.
That's the shipping box. That's a box. How much did you spend on filament? Well, luckily your slicer calculates that for you, so you'll know how much filament you used, right? Did you paint? I had to paint. You got to charge for your hourly for paint, right? Now the paint is like a microscopic amount, so I don't know how you would calculate that. I wouldn't. But stuff like that, Anyway, by the way,
Yeah.
these things are
Well,
so
and
cool. I
then
love these guys.
obviously when you sell on Etsy, you got all your fees with everything. So
And your fees as well, right? And so
especially when you start off, there's a lot of fees that come in. Because they actually, with Etsy, they hold money aside to make sure you can complete that order until you can prove trust and they start giving it to you more often. So you think you're making money just because you sold something, but there's a lot of cost behind all of those things. And if it's not down on paper, you're going to miss it.
and it depends on what kind of business you are, right? Well, like what you're doing. So say you're selling on Etsy, you got to have your listing fee, which is what, 30 cents, right?
20.
If 20 is 20 cents for you to list a product. Now, say you don't do Etsy, right? Say you do booths. Every time you join a convention or craft fair or whatnot, how much did you pay for your space?
Yeah.
That's a cost.
Did
Everything
you get
has
power?
a
Did
cost.
you
You
get
guys
tables? Do you have chairs? All those additional costs.
all of that. And that's another thing. All right. So say I did a convention this week. I made $5,000. Great weekend. How are you now going to take that $5,000 and spend it on your business? Do you get more tables, nicer tables, shelving, a banner? And when you do invest in these things, ask yourself, how are these things going to help me grow the business? And if it doesn't, why in the Sam Hill are you buying it?
Right.
If it's not going to help the business, don't fucking buy it. Stop. Knock it off. Right? Man, I'm about to trigger the hell out of people in this video.
Yeah, I went, you know, when I was growing, it was, what else can I do besides 3D printing? I started thinking other things I can add that are creating stuff. And so I went and bought a Cricut machine. In fact, I went and bought 2 Crickets.
That
For the vinyl
increases
stuff.
your production. That allows you to make more product, right? Great investment.
I went and got a laser engraver. I went and
Yes.
got
Oh,
the
love
second
that.
version
Great
of it. And
investment.
so, so I have 2 of those machines that I can do stuff with. But here's my problem. I grew faster than I was ready to grow. And what I mean by that
What a
is
problem.
I went and I bought stuff that I wasn't ready to do. And so vinyl cutting, for example, that's like Etsy's #1 product is vinyl, right? So you're up against a stiff competition. So I had to think about a unique idea, and then I had to do it. And then at the end of it, what I realized, my goodness, this takes so much longer than 3D printing. And so I'm not going to do this product anymore. And then same with laser engraving. There's a learning curve with getting that laser engraving with the right product. And do you want to do that? And eventually I find that, you know what, this works better this way. I can complement things with that. But I was like, I need to grow. I need to grow. And I went and bought equipment that I didn't end up needing. And I got several $100s of equipment that I bought. It sits in a drawer, sits in a closet because I don't use it effectively.
Exactly. Growing too fast is a big mistake, right? I shouldn't say growing too fast is a big mistake. Scaling ahead of what
hard.
it's a big mistake, right? I know this guy who bought several machines, right? He was like, "Oh, I got 10 machines. Oh, good. Are they at, you know, is your demand meeting your production capacity or vice versa?" He said, "No." I said, "What the fuck did you buy all those machines for?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, I thought no. Dude,
Yeah.
your numbers will dictate how fast you grow. You don't just go off and buy 30 machines and praying. Like, dude, no. Your numbers will tell you. I can, if I add one more machine. Okay, so say I have one machine, right? I add one more, I add one more machine. I increase my production by 100% because I doubled. Okay. Now, if I have 2 machines, I add one more machine to make me 3. I increase production capacity by 50% because 1 is half of 2.
Yeah.
Are you guys tracking? Great. I have 3 machines. If I add one more, how much did I increase capacity by?
25%.
33% because I added from 3, I added one more. Right now I have 4. Okay. Yeah. My production capacity used to be 3. I added one more and increases by 33%. You guys, if you're adding more machines, make sure that your demand is dictating it. Okay. If it's not dictating it, do not add.
Okay? You know, a big time of year for me is Christmas. You know, I hit Thanksgiving week and I'm rock hard busy for 3 weeks straight.
Speaking of, do you have enough machines to handle inventory?
I always
want to start printing now for inventory, bro.
Do that, right? So that's the thing is, so 2 years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I need more machines. Well, I bought 2 more machines, but guess when they showed up? January.
Ouch.
I wasn't as busy. So, you know, January is surprisingly still busy for me, but
no kidding.
It slows down. Obviously, it's not December, but January is still crazy busy. And then February just tanks, right? So I grew too slow as far as that goes. And so the next year I was like, I'm going to pre-print everything. All my best sellers, I'm going to pre-print and just stick them in a corner and have them ready. Guess what didn't sell that Christmas? Everything I pre-printed. I was shocked. So this year I'm looking at this going, all right, what am I going to do? Do I buy more printers in prep for all of this? Because I know I'm going to need it. But that's the thing that you were talking about. You grow because your demand, but when are you going to use those? Here I am in August. August is very slow right now for me. So, those printers are not going to be running. They're going to sit there. They're going to be idle. And I've, paid for that cost. So you have to think about that. Like, what type of business do you do? Are you convention based? Well, when are the conventions? Most of them are summertime, right? So what about all that time? What about craft fairs? Well, those tend to be summer and fall activities. So, when are you going to do things and when do you need that? And you might need it at certain times, but that investment might make sense for today in this show. But what about 3 months from now? And are you going to be regretting having that machine sit there not running anymore?
Right. So now I have a question. What happened to that box of inventory? Do you still have it?
It took a while. In fact, I think I actually still have one more thing packaged. They were mostly,
but you sold them.
right. They were mostly lightsabers. So the 3D printing lightsabers, I was selling tons. So
Eventually they did sell, which is good.
Yeah, I still have one set left that hasn't sold. I printed it like October of last year, and here it is August, and it still hasn't sold. So clearly that one no one's interested anymore. But eventually you get through it. So even though it wasn't a lifesaver in November and December like I was hoping it would be, I eventually sold them. So it's not like I didn't lose money at all. I was able to sell those things, but it was just kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do this year, I have no idea. We'll see what comes around.
Hell yeah, man. So, do you have any more questions for me?
I think that's good stuff. There's a lot more we can get into when you talk about, single or self-proprietorship versus a corporation and when you do stuff like that. And,
yeah. Actually, send me those questions. I have someone coming in here in a few days, and we're I think it's this week. I got to look at the schedule. But send me those questions. I'll ask him so that when we do our episode, he can give us direction, because I can't answer on those because I am not a tax professional. I can only tell you what I did.
Yeah. Same thing with me. And I'm facing some of those questions now. I'm an LLC and I'm wondering, should I incorporate?
I was told S Corp, bro.
Or whatever, either of those. I just don't know. I don't even know the difference between those two. So I've just been an LLC the whole time, but
same.
I don't know. What's next?
Cool. All right, Chris. If that's it, man, I'll catch you later.
Thanks.
Out.